Hey everyone, welcome to a new series I'm calling Engines of the Blackwell Northern. As you can guess, this is a series based upon the countless Engines of series. I'm choosing to start with the Blackwell Northern as they have very few engines, so I can make episodes quickly and make them pretty short. I've also found that I can get a lot of information from the Everywhere West Locomotive Leasing website, which we'll talk about later. Anyway, let's get on to the video. Today we are talking about Everywhere West Locomotive Leasing number 7311. The EMD SD-18 is a 6-axle diesel locomotive built by General Motors' Electromotive Division between April 1960 and March 1963. Power was provided by an EMD 567D1 16-cylinder engine, which generated 1,800 horsepower. 54 examples of this locomotive model were built for American railroads and 60 for export, including 15 for co-rail. The SD-18 was the third model on EMD's special duty line of locomotives. It was designed as a modified GP-18, which had 6 axles instead of 4. The additional axles allowed for more tractive effort and more even distribution of weight compared to the GP-18. These locomotives came equipped with an EMD 567D1 16-cylinder engine, 6 General Motors D47 traction motors, 1,800 horsepower, a General Motors D22 main generator, a max speed of 65 miles per hour, a wheel configuration of C-C, a weight of 390,000 pounds, a starting tractive effort of 97,500 pounds, and a continuous tractive effort of 67,500 pounds. These locomotives came in at a total length of 60 feet 8 inches, a height of 15 feet, and a width of 10 feet. Now on to the specific history of 7311. 7311 was ordered by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway in January of 1963. It was included in the largest SD-18 order of 19 locomotives numbered 1800 through 1818. The Chesapeake and Ohio's SD-18 spent their lives presumably pulling mainline freights. They continued this service into the Chessie system era. After being retired, number 7311 was sold to a short line in Indiana known as the JK line. It ran on the former Erie main line from North Judson, Indiana to Monterey, serving a grain elevator. The line first operated as the Tippecanoe Railroad and used to offer tourist trips, but those only lasted for a year or so. The rest of the former Erie line had been torn up, but the short segment of 17 miles was saved for the sole purpose of serving an elevator in Monterey. Beginning in the 1990s, the elevator went through several ownership changes and eventually was bought by Cargill, who sold the JK line to Rail America and then shut down the elevator. After removing the spur into the facility, they sold the elevator once more to a local interest group. Rail America shortly sought and received permission to abandon the line, but left 1 mile outside of North Judson for the Hoosier Valley Railroad Museum to lengthen their short excursion train rides. Shortly thereafter, a gentleman purchased the 7311 from Rail America and contacted the museum to move it out of Monterey. The museum did so in grand style and ran a special caboose excursion from North Judson to Monterey to pick up the SD-18 on November 29, 2004. After bringing the 7311 to North Judson, the locomotive was parked and displayed among the other pieces of equipment at the Hoosier Valley Railroad Museum. After that, it was moved to Wellsboro by the Chesapeake and Indiana Railroad in 2006. Sometime after this, 7311 was acquired by Western Rail Incorporated, another leasing service. At some point in its career, 7311 was also found to have wiring deterioration issues. It was leased to the Eastern Washington Gateway Railroad, but was returned to Western Rail. It was determined that the wiring was too far deteriorated to cease service. In exchange, the Eastern Washington Gateway Railroad would lease C40-8, number 9129, an XUP unit. This exchange was complicated and involved multiple parties that the original poster didn't elaborate on. Even though the 7311 did run and receive 2 traction motors and a replacement main generator, it suffered from bad wiring and frequent blown fuses and ground fault. It was after this incident that I believe 7311 was purchased by Everywhere West Locomotive Leasing to be moved to South Haven, Kansas and get repaired. These repairs are said to be completed and EWLX now has 7311 back up for lease. Everywhere West Locomotive Leasing seems to store all of their locomotives on Blackwell Northern trackage, though only a GP30 and GP7 are currently leased by the Blackwell Northern. I should mention that I did find 2 more owners of the 7311, the Northern Illinois and Wisconsin Railway and Vintage Locomotive Inc., but neither of these had much information available, so there wasn't much I could do with it. An interesting note is that Clinchfield 800 is currently owned by Vintage Rail Inc. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was very tough to make, but I feel it was worth it. If you guys want to see more of this series, or more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. Blackwell Northern has a lot of interesting locomotives, so stay tuned for more. Until next time, have a good night, or a good day, and as always, be safe.